Masechet Menahot Daf Perima Amud Aleph, 6 line down. So we're continuing the beraita that we were talking about before. So we said hatat. Why does the Quran mention the word hatat in the pasuk? Ma hatat mekadesha bebiluah. Just like hatat makes something else kadosh if it was absorbed. Yani if something touches it. Af kol mekadesha bebiluah. So to every korban, if something touches it, it becomes kadosh through absorption. Asham, why mention Asham? Ma Asham in Shapir Vishliya Kadosh Bo, just like in the case of an Asham. The fetus in this amniotic sac of the baby is not Kadosh through it. Of course, in Shapir Vishliya was to all come out the same thing, the animal will also not be Kadosh. Now, at this point, Rabbi Eliezer would hold otherwise. The children of a Korban becomes Kadosh when they're born. Again, we learned something from possible that was impossible. That's what, because why? Because there's no such thing as having an Asham that has a child because an Asham is male. So we see that he learned impossible from an impossible situation for other covenant. Milim, why mention Milim? So just like in the case of Milim, the leftovers are burnt and the live animals are not. They're not burnt. In the case of other covenant, the leftovers are burnt and the live animals are not having leftover burnt. Shlamim, I mentioned Shlamim, just like a Shlamim can become bigul, and something brought with it also can become bigul. I've called Mefagin to plus everything. Okay. Rabbi Akiva learns this entire Braita differently. Rabbi Akiva, Zot HaTorah. This is the halacha. Mincha makes everything that's absorbed is kadosh. I've called everything else. Why is it mentioned absorption makes kadosh by hatat and by mincha, by hatat and mincha? Di hatat mincha, I mentioned mincha, mishum because maybe it's soft, that's why it absorbs better. You would not think by the hatat because it's not soft. Maybe because it penetrates because of the fattiness of the oil of the meat. Mincha would not be kadosh like that. Where it says tzricha, therefore need both. Hatat, I mentioned hatat. Ma hatat ina ba'amin just like hatat does not come from halin bayam only during the day. But we don't have any, they use the right hand. Afkol ina ba'amin halin, so to okra has been holin. Ubayam ubayada, but many things also is done during the day and also offered by the Kohen's right hand. Hatat, we know hatat itself. Amar Hizad, Amar Karab Hekri, Havat Para Hatat Shalo. Aaron should bring the bull hatat that's his. Lo mishalo v'yishon hatat maaser. His means it has to be his own money, not maaser money. Bayom during the day, mi bayom tzabaton. After we learn from the pasuk where he commanded. So therefore, what does Rabbi Akiva learn from the other kabbalah? We had it already. The Gemara says, "Kedei naska." He mentioned it extra. You don't have any. You mentioned that he has to do right hand. Mi Rabbi Hanan. You know that. You know from somewhere else. Amar Rabbi Bar Huna Mahana Amar Rabbi Reish Lakish. Kol makom shenamar etzba ukuna. In the name, you see already that pasuk says right hand. I have to say it again. The Gemara says, "Kedei again, unnecessarily." Asham, I mentioned Asham. Ma Asham also tab mutrin. I've called them mutrin. Just like the bones in Asham are mutar, so all bones are mutar. So we see from here, after this Breit Ha's code, Rabbi Akiva learns that the Hatat teaches you that all korbanot compared to the Hatat, that they only run Halil. So Rabbi Akiva is arguing, brought that whole Breit which is almost an amud, full amud long, that argues against Mishnah, that our Mishnah says the main reason why you have to bring korbanot Halil is from the Korban Pesach. So Rabbi Akiva, how does it learn that pasuk of Pesach that we mentioned in our Mishnah? What does he do with it? The Gemara says, "Mibar like to the Menachem needs the following." How do we know that a uh, extra Pesach is offered as Shalom? I mentioned Son Bakar comes from lambs and goats. And the Motel Pesach, must be teaching that an extra Pesach can be offered like a korban of a flock and cattle, which is Shalom. We don't learn from there. We learn from here. Steve, different pasuk. Why needs pasuk? The Gemara says, you still don't need this pasuk. Why? We learn from something else. But remember, it says, keves that about the pesach. But yeah, regarding shanim, it says that the word lamb teaches you that the pesach as well. The tail is burned, not mizbeach. Kishu omer in keves, when mentions if a lamb, the pesach shavrash netu shalim jahavi havaim lechmat pesach l'chom shalim. A pesach the first year passed, yani it's too old, or shalim that came because of the pesach meaning like Korban Hagigah, it has a halachah of Shlamim. Shitanu smicha, nisachim tvan hazar shok. They need to be leaned on like smicha. They get nisachim, the libations, and also you have to wave the chest and thigh. Kishomer ve'im ayez hefzik and then pasuk then mentions the goat. It stops that subject. Lemer al ha'ayez she'en tuna hakalia. Therefore, teaches that the goat does not need to have its tail burnt. So where do we see that the Pesach that's too old? If it became past the year, we know it's Shamim. So I need another source. The Gemara says, three pieces can teach the same thing. One teaching you in a case where the Korban Pesach, the time it's no longer Pesach anymore, time passed, and it's over a year. One is to teach you when it's no longer Pesach, but it's not past 1 year old. One is teaching you where it's not yet Pesach and it's not yet um 1 year's not passed. Why need three different sources? You need all three. The Ashbin and Avraz Manov Arashatot want to pass many only cases were both passed. Mishum the Itchelet Lagan, because maybe you might think that's why it should be commercially because it's fully pushed off. It's impossible ever to happen. About Avraz Manov Arashatot, but in a case where it's time passed but not year yet, how does the Pesach maybe be used for a second Pesach? Therefore you think you should not lose Pesach says, and therefore it teaches you it is. You cannot offer as Pesach Shani. It has to be Shalmi. V'yashmin and Avraz one of the Avraz Matuk. You want to teach me that only where the time passed, but not the year. The Itchil Pesach Rishon was only pushed off from the first Pesach Rishon. But in the case of year and time did not pass yet, the Afil the Pesach Rishon Nami has it. Technically, it could be kasher for Pesach. Emelom, we think it should not become a Pesach. And it should not become a Shnaim. It can stay as Pesach. Therefore, all three Pesukim are needed. Next, Mish Perek. Kol kavanot hasibur bi'achid. Any grain used for a community or private korban, ba'ain mina aretz or mechutz aretz, can be brought from Eretz Israel or outside Eretz Israel. Mina hadash minshan, new or old crop. Chutz mina omer shel except for the omer and the two loaves of Shavuot. She'ena ba'im ella mina hadash min aretz, has to be from new and from Eretz Israel. Ve'chulan ena ba'in ella mina muvchar, has to come from the finest product. What's the best place to get it from? Machnis v'zitha alfa l'solet. The flowers of machnis and zitcha have the best fine flour. Sheniya lehem aforaim b'bekah. Second to them is the aforaim in the valley. And kol ha'aratzot all lands were kasher ela mikana mivin, but this is where preferably to bring best quality. But I think Loktan Mishnah argues against the following time. But that part says, Omer haba min hayashan kasher. Omer, it comes from old crop is kasher. Shtei lechem habaot min hayashan kashrot. Also, the loaves of bread that comes from old crop is kasher. Ela shehim mitzvah, but you didn't do the mitzvah correctly. Omer, where we know that Omer is good for old crop, Tiv takrivet min hat bekurecha. Which teaches you about min aliyah anywhere you can get it from, even from your attic. Shtei lechem as well. Tiktiv mimoshe votechem taviu. V'lo min ha'chutzar, it seems like from your land, not outside. Moshe v'lechem ha'fil min aliyah, and you can bring from anywhere you live, in the attic, which means old crop. Now the Gemara says, "Ha'afikta." You just teach me that passage teach me something else. How you can use it twice? The Gemara says, "Amar karat taviu." Ha'fil min aliyah, the extra word. Okay. But anything similar you can bring from a place. Meaning, it's teaching you over here. We did this last week. That word teaches you tavi'u, that just like the she'elechem, which is chametz, has one yisrael below, so to everything has to have that ratio. Where it says no, im kenetu krat tavi. Why it only mentioned the word tavi? It's singular. Why tavi'u? Why plural? Shemin tati teaches two halachot. Ba'aktiv reshit, but the pasuk says reshit, the first, not old. The Gemara says the mitzvah, not chayav. Aktiv hadasha again says new. That word minu mincha teaches you for the following. Rabbi Natan Rabbi Akiva Amru, Shtei alechem habaot min hayashan kasherot. Shtei alechem that comes from the old crop is kasher. Umanim yakim hadashas when. How do I explain the pasuk that teaches you new? Shtei hadashah l'chol minachot teaches that it's be the new of all minachot, meaning it has to be the first mincha of the day. Ad kan lo pligi el b'hadash. Now the machloket tanaim only is talking the new crop. Al v'eretz lo pligi, but they don't argue that it has to come from Eretz Israel. The Omer Shtei alechem ha'meretz in, Mahuzar lo has to come from Eretz Israel. They're not outside. Come on, according to Loktanada, arguing against Valentina. It says, Yosef Rabbi Damer, Omer Bab Mechutz the Omer has to come from outside, it can come from outside Israel. Why I mentioned specifically from the land? We're not chayav in the mitzvah of the Omer until we enter Eretz Israel. But once you enter Israel, you can bring from outside. Because Hadash Mechutz Aretz Dorati, and this is because they hold that the Omer outside Eretz Israel is Doraita. Titi Moshe Votechem. Kol Makshana Tatamachim Mashma sounds like anywhere you're living. When it teaches you that when you come, that's when you're chayav. When it's chayav, the I could even and you could bring the omer from there as well, even from outside. So we see that they argue that say that it's only from Eretz Israel they say you can bring it outside as well.